Good evening and welcome back to the workshop. Last time we spoke, this van was in pieces. Now it's in slightly fewer pieces. I'm not quite finished. Got another bag of components here to add. These are all the brake rigging, which is always fun. But yeah, this has gone together really well. And I thought I'd just do a little follow-up. And there'll probably be one more of construction and maybe one when it's finished. But yeah, this is the wagon. So these are resin castings, as I mentioned. You definitely need to wash them because when you get resin castings, they're covered in mold release, which allows you to remove them from the mold that they're cast in, but it makes it incredibly difficult for paint to adhere. So this is these have been washed down with just dish soap. And here's a closer look at the wagon. So we've got sprung buffers. We've got a sprung coupling hook, which I can't do one-handed, and 3-link couplings, which aren't behaving. We've also got four-way independent suspension, so the inevitable dings and dents of a garden railway can be managed. If I turn this upside down, we can get a bit of a better idea, of the details. So, looking at it from here, we've got the sprung buffers, which are pieces of steel threaded at the back. There's a spring in the middle, and there's a little bolt there which retains the whole thing. There's these sprung coupling hooks, and this is quite a tough spring, but what we're really trying to do is get the big jolts out. If it's too slack, then this just ends up pulled out all of the time and just looks a bit silly. We've got some white metal here. These are the springs. These are the real springs. And behind these are little coil springs, which sit in a little recess underneath there. And it's those coil springs that use that. Some lost wax brass castings, some tiny bolts, which I need to trim down, some etched brass here. And these are some Slater's wheels. And underneath this steel section here, these are some, like a subframe, I guess, which is the W-irons. That the axle boxes ride in, and the brake hangers, and they're all meant to be soldered together, and my soldering iron's no way powerful enough to do that, so I tried soldering, it didn't work. I glued them for now, but that's it. So I'm really pleased with how the van has come together so far. Detail wise, and if you don't care about prototypical information, feel free to leave and I'll catch you next time. But for those two of you who are interested, this van is a London, Brighton and South Coast Railway D8 type van. It was built from the late 1880s up until just around the World War I. And then it had a number of changes. So initially it would have been light grey with an illiterate mark in the corner. It looks like a shield with black ironwork. And it would have had one brake rod, which would have been down here with a huge lever and a block of wood there on one side. As time goes on, the company has made changes to this. So initially they would have had 2 steel brake blocks here, or iron brake blocks, with a lever, and then eventually they would have had levers on both sides and brakes on the inside on both sides. And there were some variations, so they're really interesting ones which say fish only, because there was a complaint that passengers were getting their luggage shipped in vans like this that had previously been used for fish. And this continued. The livery got darker and darker. It went from the illiterate mark to LBSCR, London, Brighton, South Coast Railway, then just LBSCR, and then it got darker again, and it was LBSC, and then apart in the grouping in the 1920s, it would have been painted in a chocolate brown colour with a big SR, Southern Railway. And I think that's the condition I'm going to paint this in. I do really like pre-grouping, and I think I prefer pre-grouping liveries in general. But you can see we've got 2 brake hangers here. And this is my first gauge 3 model, and I don't want to go through the whole process of customizing it specifically for me, because I'll just never get it finished. So I'm hoping to get this done in the condition that the kit suggests, which is that post 1928 kind of configuration. So that's what we're going to do. There'll be probably a small update with the rest of the bits on, and a final one with it painted and rolling around. So stick with me.